Hello, what's going on? How's everybody doing? Welcome to episode 13 of Barstool Bitcoin. Say hello to producer Kraser.
What up, you Barstool motherfucking Bitcoiners? Thanks for listening. Welcome to the next episode, boys and girls.
Here we go. We got a pretty exciting ep today for you guys. We got the Wolf of Bitcoins on later, but first we're going to go through the picks from last week and a quick rundown of what's happening in crypto right now. So, Kraser, what are we looking at here?
All right, boys, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, I have to give it to Dan. He took it last week. He picked the under. He won by like $50, so don't pump his ego too much there, Dan. You were kind of close, and I was kind of close. So, you know
We're
what? I'm
both,
just going to call it even. So, how
yeah.
about that?
Well,
Take that.
it's a draw. It's a draw. I think we saw some volatility at the time we're recording this. We just seen some volatility, a nice little pump. Now it's coming back down, but we're just hovering right under 6,400 there on BitMEX. So yeah, we're pretty much even. Like I'm not gonna take the win here because it's we're in the same range here. We've been sitting in this range for a little while.
I think we should come up with a new rule here. So,
Let's
here's my suggestion. Let me know what you think. So, to win the over under, if it's closer, if it's within $150 above or below, if you're not past that, then it's a draw. That
cool.
makes sense?
Yeah,
So it's a draw. It's a
let's
draw this week.
we'll give you the draw, bud.
All right, thanks a lot.
Since you lost, I'm gonna throw you first pick this week.
You know what? I have confidence that it's going to go up, so I'm going to take the over this week. I'm excited to see where it's going to go.
So
My reasoning
over
behind it, not
6,400.
100% sure. That's why you're the expert. So let's see what you got here, bud.
I'm not an expert. I'm a monkey. I'm just one evolutionary notch above a monkey, but you know, I guess when you trade this market, you kind of get a feel for how Bitcoin moves. And I've been saying for a while now that we haven't bottomed out yet. We haven't found the bottom. And I think we're still going to hit 5K, maybe even lower. We're still in a bear market, that's for sure. Despite this large green candle the other day, we're still in a bear market. So I'm going to take the under again. I'm going to say it's going to be under 6,400 next week.
All right, sounds good. So we are head to head. We are one tie each. So looking forward to see who's going to catch the W next week. But that's it for now on the prediction. So Dan, what's been going on in the crypto market lately?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening. There is some big news out of the UK. The UK Treasury Committee called for an end to the Wild West in crypto. They literally called it the Wild West situation in crypto. So the members of their parliament reportedly called for a resolution to these issues like surrounding digital currency, like volatility and not protecting investors, consumers, and the risks of hacker attacks, money laundering. So the chair of the Treasury Committee was quoted saying it's unsustainable for the government and regulators to bumble along issuing feeble warnings to potential investors yet refrain from acting. I totally agree. We need somebody strong like the UK to take charge in this matter, and we haven't really seen much from the US concerning like actually creating some type of regulation. Although they touch on the subject, nothing really happens. And I mean, the most recent out of New York is that the attorney general reported saying crypto exchanges are at risk of manipulation. Like, no shit, buddy. I mean,
So what are they gonna do about it though? So you see, like you said, the UK's there, but that's pretty much my reaction. No shit, buddy. So like, what are you doing to help your citizens, motherfucker?
yeah, it doesn't even make sense because there's so much volume on these exchanges, and most of the volume is actually created by the exchange itself. Coinbase is the biggest exchange in the US, and just recently there's a stat that came out saying that 20% of all Coinbase trades are made by the cryptocurrency exchange itself.
That's huge. That's like 1 in 5 trades.
Yeah, and
That's a
that means
big number.
yeah, definitely. I mean, that means that investors have little to no information about who they're actually trading against, the person on the other side of their buy or sell orders. And I mean, depending on which crypto exchange you're on, there's a pretty significant chance that at least 20% of the time you're trading against someone that works for the exchange itself, which is, I mean, that's 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 a tough situation to really stomach as a trader, because that's complete corruption.
Yeah, and that honestly, that's like a big risk on on the trader's part. 20%, 1 in 5. But you're going against. It's almost like you're playing poker where the other guy can see the entire deck. So it's not very fair.
Well, that's literally what it is. I mean, they're seeing all the trades come in and they're front running the trades, and you don't really have a chance against a situation like that. But if that could happen in the US at Coinbase, they're working with the regulators, they're working with the US, they're staying as compliant as they possibly can. But at the same time, you see stats like this, it just kind of scares me a little bit. But that's what creates such a need for decentralized exchanges, and that's why these are going to be so big. Decentralized exchanges are going to literally boost the whole market. Once you see a decentralized exchange create a really workable product that is efficient and easy to use, has a good UI, and has a good experience for consumers, then we're going to see crypto boom, and nobody's going to be going to these Coinbases or anything like that. The whole point of crypto is to keep it decentralized. So why would we want to like trade on an exchange that's owned by the bank?
Yeah, that's a good point too, because that pretty much just you're almost in the same situation as we have now. Bank controlling all the money, bank controlling all the crypto. Do you
Yeah,
want that?
exactly.
Not really. That's not the goal that we're looking for. So yeah, it's a good point.
And there was a pretty big hack out of Japan just recently. Like, crypto custodianship is such a big issue right now. We talked about on an earlier episode the Winklevoss twins creating a patent for custodian to securely store crypto. And just recently, we saw a Japanese crypto exchange called Xife hacked for 59 million, which is
Jeez.
yeah, a pretty major hack. Local media sources reported it, and it went down on the 14th of September, but they didn't even find it until the 17th, and they saw the hackers steal Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and some other coins from the exchange's hot wallet, which was worth 6.7 billion yen, which is just under $60 million. And Zeiss is like that. It's like a small exchange, and they're not even in the top 100 daily volume exchanges, but it's going to have pretty big implications, I think, for the crypto industry in Japan because the regulators are really tightening up. I mean, in Japan, crypto used to be illegal and now it's legal, and this is definitely going to give them a little dialogue in Congress.
Well, I'd certainly hope so. That should raise some eyes and like make sure the government gets involved because this is people's money and livelihood we're dealing with here. And
Definitely.
like every week or so, or like, on our episodes here, we're always talking about like how there was like a scam here, a scam there. So it's a pretty common thing right now. And hopefully, once there is regulations, hopefully this will go down a bit and be a bit more trustworthy.
Yeah, I mean, talking about hacks, there was. Have you ever heard of the video game League of Legends?
Yes, I've heard of that game.
It's a pretty big game. It's like really big in e-gaming. I'm not sure if it's the number one game, but it's up there. And one of the pros, League of Legend gamer, he just got robbed of 200K in crypto at current market value, 200K worth of crypto with a sim hack. And we talked about that But you used to work for a phone company, dude. Like, you want to kind of go over that on how it all
Yeah,
works?
for sure. So, I mean, easily like a SIM card, what it has, it's basically your phone number, right? So, if someone can access your account by maybe impersonating you, changing your PIN on your account, calling in to maybe get some information, it's actually really easy because once they have the SIM card and it's activated, all they need to do is pop it in their phone. They have your phone number. And then when you think about it, a lot of shit's associated with your phone number, like all your social media is associated, all your emails, your two-factor authentication, which is supposed to block these people out, is actually working in their favor. And by the time that you realize your phone is out of service, like this guy can already do damage. So it's really important that you maybe even call your phone providers, put a little bit of extra security on there, have a pin, maybe have like a secret passcode as well too. But it's and if you see on your phone and it doesn't say LTE anymore and it says no service, you should maybe be in a little bit of a panic. What you need to do first is just honestly restart your phone. And if it's still in the same situation, you need to get on the line and call your provider right away to see what's going on so you can maybe stop something like this from happening. But this is a real thing and it's a lot easier than you think. So,
Yeah.
it's,
Well, I mean, there's a couple of steps you could take, like you mentioned, Kraser. Another one that I would do for all you listeners out there is call up your phone company right now and tell them that you cannot activate any SIM on my account except for in a certain branch of the company, a local store, and that you have to show your ID to activate the SIM so that they can put like at least a note on your account for that. Because this dude called T-Mobile, he found out his phone number was reported as lost, and it was transferred to another handset in a SIM swap. And these criminals, these hackers, pose as the owner of the phone number and gain access to it, and then they get your two-factor codes and other information. So you don't really have a chance if you're depending on the phone company only. So you want to take all precautions you possibly can to actually prevent these SIM swapping hacks.
yeah, because this is a couple of stories we've heard now, right? So like it's a pretty common thing, and it does not take long for it to do it. Like a SIM swap, you do it in the system, boom, it's activated. That buddy puts in your card. In like 5 minutes, he can, if he's a good hacker, he can have all your shit gone. And then you're like, what the fuck? So,
Yeah, and we've been hearing a lot in the news about Michael Turpin. He's a pioneer in the crypto space, and he's currently suing AT&T for 224 million for a SIM swap hack that he suffered. He lost 24 million in crypto, which is substantially more than what this League of Legends player lost. But at the same time, I mean, he's blaming the phone service provider for negligence, which I think at the end of the day they are being negligent, and the fact that they don't have support barriers in place to prevent this is kind of scary to say the least.
oh, it's crazy because honestly, like if me or you were to call up our provider, like you're on the phone. When you're over the phone, you can impersonate anyone, right? And you can, if you ask the right questions, like those people working there, they're doing their job. But if you ask them the right questions, you can get the information from them. So it is pretty scary. And like you said, I think the idea of calling your phone provider and maybe setting up a specific location to do it would be like smartest thing to do, like moving forward.
Yeah, and if you're not using two-factor authenticator with the Google Authenticator app, that is a staple. That's adds an extra layer of protection, and the hacker would actually need your physical phone, not just your phone number. So that would be one thing you could also do.
It's basically like here, I'll describe it to you in a situation. It's basically like if you don't have two-factor authentication, the hacker can get into your house with your key. But if you have the two-factor authentication and you have the key, but your alarm's turned on, might scare them away. So just to put
Yeah,
it in perspective.
definitely. Well, let's wrap things up here because we got a pretty good interview going on. We're gonna let that run after a word from our sponsors. But just to kind of sum things up here, boys, since January of this year, Bitcoin and crypto in general have been in a pretty significant downtrend, and we saw the biggest loss that cryptocurrency has ever seen. Over 65% of the total market cap wiped out, and I mean it dropped from over 297 billion to about 100 billion at the time that we're recording this. But before going on this downtrend, Bitcoin saw the craziest bullish ride it's ever seen before. Its price went from like 3,500 range to an all-time high above 20K US in a space of 4 months, or maybe a little less than 4 months actually. And this brought a lot of new money into crypto. I think that was a big phenomenon. It was largely responsible for the growth in the market, but a lot of speculators came into the market, of course, because of the bull run, and just got absolutely wrecked and pulled out based on the decline. So if you're one of those people, you can't stomach the swings. You have to realize this is an early adoption you're making as an investor, and if you cannot deal with those type of swings, you should not be in this marketplace. Others, though, have continued to hold their positions in waiting for an eventual recovery, which we will see. Long term, we are trending up, boys. So just hold on tight. If you got absolutely wrecked, you did not take a loss until you actually sell. So do not take a loss if you can prevent it. I understand there's bills to pay and this and that, and everybody's situation is different, but whether the wait is a normal trend or not in the whole Bitcoin market cycle, we'll see. It remains, speculation. This is not investment advice. Nobody knows. If they tell you they do, then you could tell them to fuck right off, because nobody knows where the bottom will be. But supply and demand says that we will find our way outside of this bear market, and we will be back for record highs again. All right. Well, thanks, boys. Thank you for listening to the pod. And thank you to our sponsor. Before we get to the Wolf of Bitcoin's interview, just want to say thanks to BitMEX. BitMEX is a crypto derivatives trading platform, and it's the easiest way to margin trade. I left a link for you guys to register just below in the show notes section. And if you want to join a crypto signals chat, it's absolutely free to join as well. We work with only BitMEX signals. You can go to blockxglobal.com. That's BLOCKX global, GLOBAL.com, and you can get access to some BitMEX signals it's absolutely free to join. So make sure to sign up for both of those. Join the Telegram group and hop on to BitMEX. Create your free account. The sign up's super quick. Just hop in the show notes section. It takes a couple minutes, and deposits are quick and easy as well. Only takes one confirmation, so you're good to go. Create your account today. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the interview, and we'll see you next week. Hello, everybody. We got a really exciting interview today. I'd like to welcome Peter Sharif to the pod. Peter is the co-founder of blockstrategic.io and is an influencer in the crypto space. You can find him on Instagram. Just search his tag is at the Wolf of Bitcoins. Yeah, thanks for joining us today, Peter. How you doing?
Doing well, thanks, Dan. Doing well. Nice to be on with you.
Yeah, we're super happy to have you. I've been following you for a little while, and we got connected a couple weeks ago. But I don't know much about your story and your background. So how did you first get introduced to Bitcoin?
The very first time I heard about Bitcoin was back in like maybe 2010, just through friends of mine who buying illegal substances on the dark web, basically like hallucinogenics, mushrooms, and shit like that. And they were really into this currency that I didn't really understand back then. I just thought it was just for buying illegal shit online. And they were telling me how it works, and they kind of showed me like the online marketplace, like the dark web, which I didn't even know existed. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, people can actually like buy whatever they want on here. It's pretty crazy. And the currency they use is this Bitcoin. So that I didn't really look into it back then. Just kind of brushed it off as something illegal, like some kind of illegal currency that people use online. So yeah, that was like 2010. Now I'm pretty anti-establishment, and I used to really follow. I still do, kind of, not as much, but I used to really follow Julian Assange and like WikiLeaks, especially back then. And I was really following WikiLeaks closely in 2011, and something happened back then where they called it the bank blockade. I don't know if you remember that happening, but like MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, Bank of America basically cut off WikiLeaks from donations, which was almost all of their revenue, and they faced losing the website and just being taken out as a company or as an organization. And I was like, fuck, this is pretty crazy, like how much power like the banks have, and these credit card companies that can just cut you off financially at any second. And I think a week after they announced the bank blockade, this announcement came onto the WikiLeaks website saying that people can now donate with Bitcoin. And there it was again, Bitcoin. And I was like, oh fuck, this is like what my friends were using like a year ago. That's when I really understood that it was censorship resistant. Like, these banks, these credit card companies, they couldn't stop this donations going into WikiLeaks. So I was like, okay, this is pretty crazy. This could be something, maybe in the future, not right now. So I kind of, again, brushed it off a bit, thought it was cool, but didn't interest me enough to actually do enough research on Bitcoin. And then I believe 2015 it was, I went back to London, in London, England, to visit my family. And my cousin and one of his friends were building GPU mining rigs and mining altcoins. And this was my first like introduction into other coins that weren't just Bitcoin. So I was really interested in what they were doing, and they were showing me these rigs that they were building, and they were explaining mining to me. I didn't have a clue what mining was. They were showing me different altcoins like Dogecoin. I was just like, this is pretty crazy. And they were trading and this and that. And I mean, at the time, Bitcoin was still pretty low. It was about $150, $200. And just an FYI, my cousin's one friend who was building those mining rigs went on to be the founder of a really successful crypto company and cryptocurrency and blockchain. But that's another story altogether. So basically, after my trip to England in 2015, I come back to Canada and I started to buy Bitcoin and research it more and more. And that's when I started to realize that there's actually something more here than what I thought. How it's decentralized, censorship resistant. So that was when I first really started to get involved and get introduced and start buying it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people got introduced to Bitcoin the first time through, illegal avenues, and it's evolved so much since then. That was pretty much its only utility back in the early, I guess, 2010 time frame. But the infrastructure is building, all these altcoins are coming out. Your cousin's buddy must have been way ahead of the curve mining alts at that time.
He was, but you know what? He got screwed on Mt. Gox and Cryptsy. So he didn't give up though. Like he got fucked a few times by these online exchanges, and he just kept going, and he is now very, very well off, and doing some big things in the ecosystem. So like good for him. Same with my cousin. Cousin went through the same shit, getting his coins, hacked, and he carried on. And we're all still here today. I just wish I'd got in back then when they did, but it's all good.
Yeah,
It was a good learning experience, and yeah.
definitely needed to have that learning experience to value it the way you do today, probably.
Yeah.
So based on your experience through the last few years researching and networking and creating content, what are the things about crypto that you most like to see change in the coming years?
Um, so for one, accessibility. I'm there's not so like right now, you want to buy Bitcoin. What are you going to do? You can go onto Coinbase, set up an account, get verified. It takes time. It's annoying. There's daily limits. Like it's stupid. Or you can go like the local Bitcoin route where you can go meet someone in person in a coffee shop, which a lot of people don't want to do. Um, it's just not very accessible right now. But I see that changing, especially next year, especially with the crypto ATMs. Now, there's been a lot of news recently on crypto ATMs, and I've seen quite a few popping up here in Toronto. I actually know one of the companies here that are building them, but it's taking time. It's not that easy. You can't just build an ATM and then go and put it wherever you want, right? You have to get location set. There's lots of hurdles that come with that. But I do see next year a wave of Bitcoin ATMs coming that will allow people to easily purchase and sell crypto. So I can't wait for that to happen. That's one of the big things I want to see change is accessibility. I'm all about mass adoption, and people that might not have bank accounts or just don't know how to buy Bitcoin. They need to be able to get it in a more easier way.
Yeah.
That's
If
one of the things I'd love to change.
it's super difficult to get for the like if you think, could my grandma get Bitcoin right now? And
Exactly.
the answer is probably no. But mass adoption is coming eventually. That's obviously speculative, but we wouldn't be on the show here if we didn't both believe that. How long
Right.
do you think we are from mass adoption? Like, how early are we in crypto?
I still think we're very, very early. I do see, I mean, if you look at what happened last year, I mean, that was kind of mass adoption. It was a bubble, but there was people in the streets talking about Bitcoin. When it was over 15K, I was in my barber shop and there was people next to me getting their haircut talking about Bitcoin with the barber, and neither of them
Hmm.
had any idea what they were talking about. But the word was out there. The word was in the streets. Like people were, you know, getting more and more interested in it. It was kind of going mainstream. It was on the news, it was on the paper. But as far as like adoption, that hasn't happened yet. And I do think it will take a few more years until you should really start seeing some use cases for blockchain and cryptocurrencies, apart from just being a store of value, which is what they really are right now. Like I don't really see any cryptocurrencies in commerce yet, but I do believe that is coming.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I actually had the same experience in my barbershop. My barber was telling me because he knows that I was investing in tech. He's telling me about Bitcoin and stuff, and I just acted completely ignorant because I just wanted to see what he had to say. At that time, it was like right around the peak, early
Yeah,
December, and then other people start chiming in. Everybody's an expert. Everybody's going to have Lambos and stuff. And then I
yeah.
told my friend who he was in Bitcoin right around the same time as me. I'm like, dude, I got really bad news for you. He's like, what? Told him my barber told me to buy Bitcoin today, and he's like, oh fuck, now we got to sell. Time to sell. He's like, everyone's coming in.
Yeah,
So
that that was my thoughts exactly. When I started hearing people in my barbershop and random people on the street talking about it, I actually started selling my coins
yeah,
because
as did
I,
I.
I kind of figured like at this point there is going to be a huge dump. I didn't think what happened was going to happen. I didn't think we was going to go into a complete bear market, but I did think there was going to be a huge dump. So when I started hearing people in the streets talking, I knew it was time to start selling some.
Yeah, a lot of people just got absolutely wrecked by the bear market. They had never been through a market cycle before,
Yep.
and this bull run, this last one was so crazy that it did bring a lot of attention to Bitcoin and other alts, and then we just got slammed by a bear market again. Long term, I think we're still trending up, but we're definitely in a bear market. A lot of people got wrecked in it. You don't see all those people with the Lambo memes anymore. A lot
Yeah.
of people
No.
still holding their $3 Ripple, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but what would you say is the most common reason that you see people failing in crypto or giving up?
Well, yeah. I mean, just like we was just chatting about, be everyone getting wrecked in December, January. The whole problem is not understanding what they're investing into, the coins, it's them themselves, the technology itself, the market cycles. There's more than just Bitcoin, right? You need to understand a lot, and everyone, most people that were buying in at the $20,000 mark in January were didn't understand what they were investing into. They just thought, right, I can get rich quick. My friends just made 10K in a couple of weeks, and they were just buying whatever shitcoin was pumping because it was up 30% that day, and didn't they just didn't understand what the markets are, how they work, what the market cycles are, what they were investing into. So that is the most common reason people are failing or giving up, is not understanding, not being educated on these coins, technologies, and markets.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. A lot of people don't care about the fundamentals or the technicals of whatever coin they're getting into. They don't care if it has any kind of utility. They're just like, oh, this person said to buy it, so you get like a 60% bonus on the ICO. I'm like, dude, like,
Yeah, like
wouldn't that be a reason you wouldn't buy it?
is you know what this is just like what happened in the 90s in Silicon Valley, the whole dot
Right,
com, right? People were just throwing money at fucking tech companies that didn't have any products ready. Like it was just a shit show. Um, but I do believe that this is going to be way bigger than that. I mean, this is global. The Silicon Valley was just mainly America, right?
right.
So even though I do think that we were in a bubble and it has popped for now, like I do think we're going to have another humongous bull run um, coming soon, maybe next year, maybe the year after. I don't know, but I think people need to really spend this time to educate themselves and be ready for the next one and know what to invest in, when to sell. Um, just don't go in blindly on coins that your friend told you or your barber told you to buy it, or has a cool website that with like like most of these ICOs are just ideas that have nothing behind them. Like literally, they have built nothing, but people have bought them. Some people have made money, but for the most, anyone in 2017, at the end of it or beginning of 2018, that bought into ICOs got wrecked,
Yeah,
absolutely wrecked.
yeah. And a lot of ICO companies did as well because they
Oh
took
yeah,
in a lot of
holding
Ethereum.
ETH.
Yep, and they're still holding on to their bags of ether and they have a burn rate. They're spending money every month to
Yep,
keep the lights on. And that I think that's part of what created this massive bubble was the ICO boom and then the devaluation of all those companies that didn't have any kind of utility, didn't have a working product. They're just founders getting greedy. I mean, so
yep.
many scams out there that contributed to it.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was definitely a big contribute to the whole shitstorm that we've just gone through.
Yeah.
I speak to like, I was meeting up with companies beginning of this year in January that were like killing it, pulling in so much ETH, like ridiculous amounts of ETH, and their um, train of thought was, let's hold this ETH as much as we can because it's going to go up in value, and it didn't. And they didn't take enough money out to pay developers or do what they needed to do to get the project started, and now they're either called off the project or they're asking for more money. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, dude, that like you guys are just greedy. Like, you have to do it in a smart way. Like if you're going to launch an ICO and you're going to take in this money, you have to take into consideration what could happen. And if you don't, then you're going to get screwed. And then everyone who's invested in you gets screwed. And it leaves a bad taste in people's mouth. And they don't want to get back into crypto.
Yeah, definitely. Nor do they want to invest in your company ever again, or
Exactly.
whoever's holding the token. A lot of greedy people in crypto, but was it this last bull run that made you want to go full time, or when did you decide, and what made you decide to go full time in crypto?
Um, well, I've always been an entrepreneur. And when I first started getting into crypto, like seriously, like I did start buying, like I said, in 2015, but it wasn't until China and Japan unbanned it. So do you remember there was a ban
Yeah.
back then? And once they unbanned it, and it was around $1,000, I seriously started investing like everything I had into it. So I really believed in it, and I believed that it was about to take off. I remember selling my motorcycle, everything I had, and just putting into Bitcoin and a few other altcoins at the time. And I was kind of just trading and investing, like investing into a few ICOs, day trading on the side, altcoins. It was kind of a side hustle until later on in 2016, 2017, when everything just went fucking crazy and I'd made a ton of money. And I was like, okay, I've made more money in this side hustle, this crypto side hustle, than I've made doing anything I've ever done in my life. So around 2017, I was like, right, that's it. I'm going full time into this. I don't just want to invest and trade. I want to go out. I want to go around to these conferences all around the world. I want to meet the people that are building the infrastructure for blockchain. Like, who are these companies? Who are these currencies? I want to get to know the people behind it, not just buying and trading coins. So I started traveling beginning of this year around the world to all these different crypto conferences in Puerto Rico, Cayman Islands, Miami, and meeting with the juggernauts of this industry, that the founders of all these companies and projects and blockchains. And that's when it was a real eye opener. That's when I realized, I'm like, this is a revolution. This is way bigger than what I thought it was. Like, this is going to change the world eventually. It might not be right away, but this is a revolution. It's helping to disrupt industries, create more of a level playing field for people, not just the rich getting richer. That I'm meeting these people that have these companies, and like they were normal people at one point, and they had a great idea, and now they're like fucking mega rich, or they got into Bitcoin at like $1, and now they're like worth billions. So after traveling to these conferences, I was like, okay, no one has a fucking clue what's going on here outside of these conferences. Unless you're in this and you know these people and you're seeing what's going on in these conferences, you don't have a clue what's about to happen in this. So that's what I was like, right, fuck everything else. I'm going full time into this. I want to not just be an investor or trader. I want to bring value where I can, and help mass adoption, help this ecosystem grow in the right way.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what you're working on right now.
Right now, I'm finishing up some online courses. Me and my business partner have been creating. The one I've almost finished is it basically, if you don't know anything about cryptocurrency, you've just heard the word and you want to get involved, this course brings you from, amateur, helps you buy your first Bitcoin, gives you a breakdown of what Bitcoin actually is, what the technology behind it is, the blockchain, what mining is, what the different types of wallets are, exchanges, like everything that I wish I first got taught when I first heard the word Bitcoin is in this course. I mean, there's no like trading tactics. I'm not a trader as such. Like, I am not that good at technical analysis, so I don't pretend to be, or I don't put any of that in the course. It's more just like an introduction into it, how to use the exchanges, how to use different wallets. That's one of the things, because like that's a big thing that I really like to stress to people is educating people on this, because I don't want people to get scared away from crypto. I want more and more people to adopt it. So the biggest thing that we're doing right now is these online courses, which we're going to put live onto our website. We'll be promoting it through our Instagram channels and our other social channels. That's what's taking up most of my time now, and I'm traveling. I was just in Boston at Token Fest. Um, Going to LA in a couple of weeks. I've literally spent more time out of Canada this year than I have in Canada, just networking and building relationships with all of these companies and projects around the world. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on right now.
Yeah, that's great. The industry needs more quality content providers. It's such a wide-ranging topic that I think it's very scary for a lot of people to get in the first place, and they need somebody they can trust to kind of ease them into it and help them make informed decisions and not fall victim to a lot of the trappings that you see in crypto. But as you're going to be building your company, what do you think? Like, what's the biggest bottleneck that you see yourself and your business partner encountering, like while scaling?
Um, Good question. I mean, what I see right now, in, for example, my Instagram account, there is so many scams out there. So many scams. I get messages daily. Hey, invest zero point 0.5 BTC into my mining facility with my new algorithm and earn triple that in a week, and just ridiculous scams, and a large amounts of them, and people are falling victim to them. I also get messages from people saying, hey, do you know this account? And they will send me the account name. He just took this much Bitcoin off me and he's not answering. And a lot of people are falling victim to these scams. And um, it's just people. It's getting people to know what's real and what's not. I mean, that's a bit of a bottleneck, I guess, when scaling. Like, we, after we've got after a few people have gone through our course, I'm sure there'll be lots of good reviews on us, but it still doesn't stop people from going to other accounts they found on Instagram and investing and losing their money. So, I mean, that's kind of a bottleneck, like not really something we can control, but um, something that I have encountered time and time again, and it's kind of shitty. And
Hmm.
it's people lose faith in crypto after something like that happens, after they get scammed.
It's unfortunate that so many people are doing that because it gives the rest of us a bad name.
Bad name, exactly.
But the only way to really combat that is just to create and distribute quality content, and
Exactly.
eventually, you give enough value, the value is returned 10 times usually. That's what I
Exactly.
believe anyways.
Yep.
But I mean, there's so many scams in crypto. It's just hard to really, for the uneducated person to know what's real, what's not real. I mean, general rule of thumb you'd think is if it's too good to be true, then it probably
Yeah.
is. But
I'm actually we're going to put a section on our online course as well, outlining how to spot a scam, and I will put some examples in there of just messages I've received and try and help people, spot what's real and what's not as much as I can.
yeah, well, perfect segue, I think. A little bit of controversy, segue into a little more controversy. Something I
Sure.
wanted to ask you was, tell me something that's true that almost nobody else agrees with you on.
Okay. Something that I think is true that a lot of people don't agree with me on is,
Correct.
I believe in less than 10 years, there will be no more paper money. I believe
Hmm.
it will all be digital. Digital USD, digital Canadian dollar, digital Great British Pound. That's what I believe to be true, but almost everyone disagrees with me.
How do you see
What
that happening? Like, you think it's going to be a bunch of stable coins?
Yes, I think. I mean, the stablecoin market. There's a few stablecoins emerging. I've this is what makes me believe that it's gonna happen. Is I've seen a few stablecoins that are emerging. Gemini being one of them. I don't know if you saw
Yep.
the Winklevoss. And there's another one. I believe it's called Buoyant Coin or something. These are actually backed by something that it's there's people are not. I don't want to like bash anyone here, but there's a bit of
Feel free,
controversy.
dude. Drop the
There's
hammer.
there's a bit of controversy over Tether, for example, right?
Yeah,
I don't really
definitely.
know. I don't really have an opinion on it, but a lot of people are like, oh, but the money is not there, or the money is there. I, I don't really know, but I think what Gemini are trying to do are like, hey guys, look, here is the fucking money.
Yeah.
We're pegging this to the US dollar. We're pegging this to this. It is a stable coin. And I think from this, more and more stable coins will start emerging. And I believe that they will be like, I do believe that the currencies will, like the Canadian dollar, US dollar, will eventually be pegged to something that's digital. I don't believe that the American dollar is going to go disappear or the Canadian dollar is going to disappear, but I just believe that they will go digital. They will ease out cash, like paper money,
Hmm.
and then they'll just have more control, and everything's trackable at that point, right? You can't really
Yeah.
hide cash, which is what they like, what the governments really want. So that's why I believe that it will happen. The cash will be phased out.
Yeah, I would agree with you actually. That's a pretty interesting opinion. I haven't heard someone give that answer to that question, but I would agree. I mean, I don't necessarily know that it would happen within 10 years, but if you think about it, the facts are that paper money is such a minute percentage of the total of like circulating, call it supply of currency worldwide. Most of the money is digital anyways, right?
Exactly. It's
It's
already
not
there.
physical.
The infrastructure is already in place. All Visa or Mastercard have to do is partner with one of these stable coins,
Yeah.
or like the banks partner with one of these stable coins, and or create their own, which I'm sure the banks are doing. Um, and it could be very easily implemented. I mean, just look at currency in general. Like what happened in Venezuela, what's happening in Turkey right now. Like a lot of these currencies are going to shit. Like it, the paper money is not worth anything anymore. It's yeah, I understand like it's devaluing, and I mean I don't believe it's just going to overnight disappear, but I think it will be phased out and it will go digital. Everything goes digital, man. Like everything. When you think about it, music used to be on vinyls and CDs. Now it's fucking digital. Who goes and buys CDs anymore? No one buys
Hmm.
CDs. It's digital. Um, Photos, like everything now is on Facebook or Instagram. It's I think money's the next thing to go digital, and it's already started happening. And the fact that how fast crypto and blockchain is moving, it that's what makes me believe it will be less than 10 years.
That's for sure. The industry is evolving so quickly and a lot of really exciting developments coming down the pipeline. What are you most looking forward to seeing in the next 12 months in crypto?
I think for me, um, probably the ETF.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I'm kind of on the fence with it. Like price wise, it's going to be great. Like
On the fence, how? Like you think it's going to be, you don't know if it's going to be approved or disapproved or
no, I mean, so when is it? September 30th. I think it's going to be pushed to next year. I don't think it's going to get approved this year.
yeah,
Um,
I
I
agree
do
with
think
that.
the VanEck ETF. Like I've looked into that company. They're pretty beast. And what they're going to be doing is actually taking Bitcoin off the market, putting it into cold storage. So the ETFs will actually be backed by Bitcoin itself, not futures contracts or the other bullshit ETFs that are just going to keep getting rejected. The
Hmm.
VanEck one that was, I believe it was in August that they pushed it to September.
Yeah,
The decision.
and I think
I,
they
I,
could push it one more time if they
yeah,
have to.
So I think they're going to push it again,
Yeah.
but I do believe that it will happen, um, and I do believe it'll be next year. I think this is just my opinion, and I not like when it does happen. There's going to be a huge influx of money coming into the market, which is great for price. But I don't know if you've watched Andreas, his video on why he thinks that ETFs are a bad idea. He has some valid points. I don't know if have you seen that
I
interview?
haven't. No.
So what Andreas Antonopoulos says is that it's going to be bad long term because now you're going to have these companies that are taking huge chunks of Bitcoin off the market, and with that comes so they will have massive voting power because they hold so much Bitcoin. And also, they're going to get all the forked coins, which just gives them a bit more power. So, like, there are some bad sides to it. So that's when I say I'm on the fence with it. I'm like, yeah, it's going to be great. Loads of money is going to come in. It's going to be great for the price, short term. But Andreas does have some really good points on like what it will do long term to Bitcoin and the market. So I'm excited for it, but at the same time, I'm like, is this going to be good long
Mm-hmm.
term? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think with anything that's decentralized, you're going to have that subsegment of adopters who do their best to control the different aspects of whatever is has the largest market dominance, in this case Bitcoin. So I mean, you see people like Mike Novogratz just holding, holding, and they control, like, I saw this stat the other day that it's the supply of Bitcoin is similar, the distribution of the supply of Bitcoin is similar to that of fiat, where 95% of all Bitcoin is controlled by less than 5% of people.
Oh
I'm,
yeah,
I'm not sure
definitely.
how they got that stat, but I would just assume it to be true because you could look at some of the wallets and they're holding hundreds of thousands of
Yep,
Bitcoins, you know.
yep.
We like to do price predictions on the show,
Okay,
so if you'll indulge us, just
sure.
curious,
Let's do it. Let's do
what's
it.
your price prediction for Bitcoin in the short term and long term?
Short term, I'm still pretty bearish. I mean, I don't see it going much lower than 6K. Um, I do believe we're going to be in a bear market for another 6 months. But that doesn't mean I think we're going to be at this price for 6 months. I think it will start to move up, but nothing crazy. Um, I think 6K. Like if you, I'm not again, I'm not. I don't. I'm not a technical analysis guy, but my friends are, and they've been telling me, no, it's going to go to 5K. It's going to go to 5K. Technical analysis says it's going to go to 5K, which I believe, and I trust in what they say. But I also strongly believe that the 6K mark is being protected. I've watched it hit 6K and sometimes slightly dip below it very temporarily, 4 or 5 times now in the last 9 months, and straight away a ton of volume comes in, the price gets pumped back over 6K. So to me, I'm just like, I think it's safe to say this could be the bottom, but again, technical analysis does say it will go lower. So short term, I'm still bearish. Still think we might dip down below 6K slightly again, maybe a couple times before the upward trend starts. Um, Long term, I am a big believer in Bitcoin. Um, I think Bitcoin will be the standard. It will be king forever. I don't believe another currency is going to take its place as like top of the pyramid. Um, I really don't believe any of these altcoins. Nothing that's being developed right now is going to overtake it. Um, and I believe it will be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars in the next 5 to 10 years. Well, I think sooner than that it'll be into the $100,000 mark. But I mean, as looking at it really long term, like 10-year investment, I could see it being in like the low hundreds, like $100,000 $200,000 a coin. I mean, it kind of has to, like,
Yeah.
if it's going to work as a currency, Okay, it's not going to be people sending fractions of bitcoins. It's going to be people sending satoshis, and one satoshi needs to be worth like $1. And I understand how like Bitcoin can't really scale on chain, and it's going to need like Lightning Network for it to actually ever be used in commerce or as a currency. But it also needs to be in that range. It has to be up there in like the hundreds of thousands of dollars range for it to work, I think.
Yeah, if you just look at basic supply and demand, I mean, there's a finite supply of Bitcoin,
Right.
and the demand is only increasing. I think you're right that we're definitely still bearish. I fully believe that the price is gonna dip below 6K, potentially even below 5K before we bottom out and start moving upwards. I mean, price suppression is a real thing.
Yep.
The people on Wall Street, the institutional investors who are already in crypto, and especially the ones who aren't, are going to make everyone hate Bitcoin, and they're going to scoop up some cheaper Bitcoin. I don't think they're happy with the 6K level, so I'm definitely looking for like lower, closer to 5K for us to truly find the bottom. So I agree with you there. And then long term, I mean, supply and demand.
Yep.
Supply goes down, demand goes up, the price
Exactly.
has to go up. So yeah, definitely agree with you. And yeah, I mean, overall, Bitcoin is the most dominant right now. It's, I think, like 36% dominance, something in that range. Don't quote me, but at the time we're doing this, it's right around there. I'll just check
I
it
think
out real
I think
quick.
it's I think it's more like um
Oh, we got 55%
yeah,
dominance. Yeah.
55,
Yeah, wow.
55.4 to be exact. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I must be thinking of the alt season. It was like in the
Yeah,
30s.
yeah. Old season it was 30, but yes, for now in this bear market, it's been in the 50%. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
it's not going anywhere. It's the most secure of all of them. It's literally impossible. No supercomputer on the face of the earth can break Bitcoin. There's just so much computing power and encryption behind it that it's not going to happen. Um, but yeah, thank you for hopping on the show today.
no
We
problem. It
really
was a pleasure.
appreciate your time. And do you have any final words for our listeners?
Um, yeah, I mean, you can check out my Instagram influencer account. I think we mentioned it at the beginning. It's at the Wolf of Bitcoins. So if you're not already following me, um, follow and thanks in advance. And also, me and my business partner, my business partner and I, our website is blockstrategic.io. We will have the online course ready in the upcoming month, and that will be on the website. And you'll also see that on my Instagram account too. Yeah, man, just stay educated. Keep learning before you invest into anything or any company. Really do your own research. That's all I can say to you. Don't just listen to what your barber tells you or your friend tells you. Really do some research into not just the coins but the market as well.
Yeah, very sound advice, Peter. Thanks. So, guys, go check them out if you're listening to this show at the Wolf of Bitcoins. And thank you, friends, for listening to the podcast. And we'll see you next week.
Cheers, guys.